Hello everyone, my name is Tanatorn. I'm from the Department of Chemistry, Chulalongkorn University, and today I'm going to talk about the first part of how to write a scientific proposal. So the question you may ask is, why do scientists need to write a proposal? And the answer is that we need money in order to carry out a research project, which we believe that the result from our research will be beneficial to the society. But before we can carry out the research, we need money in order to buy, for example, glasswares, chemicals, consumables, equipment, or for hiring a research assistant. So in order to get those money, we need to write a proposal to the funders, and they will consider whether our proposal or our research is important or not, and they will decide to give our money based on our proposal. To make it a little bit clearer, let's have a look at this research and funding life cycle. Every research starts at step 1, where you get some nice, interesting idea that may solve important problems. However, if you don't have money, you won't be able to start the research. So it goes to step 2, where you need to find the funding. And that could be the government, national or international funders. So those agencies sometimes have some grants available, and they will announce for people to submit their proposal for them. So it goes to step 3, where you write a proposal and submit those proposals to the funders. And once they receive your proposal, they will get some reviewers to review whether your research is worth investing or not. So if you manage to get those grants, then you carry out the research as planned, and then after that you can share your results of the research to comply with the requirements of the grants. In this course, we are going to talk about how to develop a proposal, a good one. Before we start, we need to understand the components of a scientific proposal. Every proposal needs a title as well as an abstract, which is kind of like a summary of your whole proposal. And then after that, here comes the main part of the proposal, starting with the introduction, objectives, material and methods, bibliography, and sometimes the funders ask you to provide other things, for example, the budget or work schedule or other things as well. So as an overview, a good research proposal should tell, first, why your research should be done. This includes the novelty, which is how new is your research. Has anybody done this before? Another one is the importance. Would it affect the society or the funders in a good way? And this message will be in the abstract and the introduction part. The next key message is what will be done in your research, which is the explanation of the proposed research. And this will be in many parts, including in abstract, introduction, objectives, and the material and methods. And the last key message is how your research will be carried out. This includes the methods and techniques to be used, and mostly this will be in the 5th part, the material and methods, as the name suggests. So let's start with the title. Title should give a clear indication of your proposed research approach or key question, and you need a balance between either short or long title and how specific would be for your title. Let's have a look at some good examples of the title. First one, the development of hair growth promoting product from Moringa oleifera oil. Second one, the effects of metformin on mitochondrial dysfunction in liver's hereditary optic neuropathies fibroblasts. Last one, synthesis and evaluation of novel mucoadhesive nanomaterials as drug delivery systems for chemotherapeutic agents to the bladder. And the next part would be the abstract, which is probably the most important one because it presents essential meaning of the proposal. It will summarize the significance or the need of your work, as well as some hypotheses and major objectives of the project, and also the procedures to be followed to accomplish the objectives, and the potential impact of the work. It comes in one paragraph, and it forms the reader's initial impressions of your work. Okay, let's have a look at an example of an abstract of a research proposal. As you can see, it comes in only one paragraph, but this paragraph summarizes every aspect of the research proposal. Starting with the significance, in this particular example, the author is talking about leishmaniasis, which is the important tropical disease, and then they talk about how the current medication is still lacking. Sometimes they have some background where they need to talk about some important information and give out to the readers. Here is probably the most important part, where you need to clearly specify the research problem. So why your research need to be done, what is still lacking. Next, you need to clarify how your research will be done in the methodology part. And lastly, you need to clearly elucidate the potential impact if you carry out the research successfully, what will you achieve from your research. So let's move on to the introduction part. This part could be also called background, significance, literature review, and so on. In this part, you should tell the reader why your research is important and whether your research is new or nobody has done it before. So writing a good introduction is a little bit tricky. We can start by knowing some elements that should be included in the introduction. The first one, you need the introductory paragraphs, where you slowly build some understanding of the readers on the importance and novelty of your work. And the rule of thumb is starting with something general that is related to your work, and then you goes on to talk about something slightly more specific. And in order to increase the credibility of your statements, you need to do citation or mentioning other research articles, and by doing this is called literature review. So the next element is probably the most important one, which is the statement of the problem, which is the focal point of your research. It will appear as a sentence within the introductory paragraph, and it will state about something wrong or something that needs close attention, or the existing methods that no longer seem to be working. So here is some example. This is a part of introductory paragraph, but here is the red one is the statement of the problem. However, there is no effective way available to date for customers to know if the products have been exposed to unsuitable temperature. So this is something that is wrong and needs close attention. So once you state the research problem, you may give out some hypotheses on how to solve those problems. By doing so, you will introduce a research question and propose the expected results. So the hypothesis must be testable, which means it is possible to prove that it is true or false. You may want to follow this template. If a specific action is taken, then a certain outcome is expected. So in the previous example, after we have stated the statement of the problem, the next sentence is labeling the products or packages with a temperature indicator may offer a desirable solution to this problem. So here, the author is telling you a research question that in this case, they are going to try to develop a temperature indicator for the package. You may want to also include the purpose of your research, which is the objectives. This will explain what your research intends to accomplish. And even though we have another section about objectives, but it is also good to write it in a narrative style here in the introduction. You may want to follow this template. So you can start with the goal of this study is to, for example, to overcome the difficulty, to discover something, to understand the causes, to refine our current understanding, to provide a new interpretation or understand what makes something successful or unsuccessful. And the last element would be the significance of your research. So you need to clearly explain why is it important. It could be benefits to the society, economy, or your discipline. And you need to specify the expected contribution of your work. For example, new results, new data to confirm known but still questionable results, a new theory, a new or better methodology, a faster approach, a lower cost, or solving a certain problem. So let's have a look at some examples of introduction. The title for this proposal is the extraction of gambogic acid from gamboj resin. So here the first one is the introductory paragraph, which is quite general. The author is talking about some natural herbs for treatment of cancer. So the next one is another introductory paragraph, which is quite general as well, talking about cancer, how severe is it, and why you need to get some medication for the cancer. Next one is something slightly more specific, where the author is talking about gamboj and gambogic acid and how can you extract the gambogic acid from gamboj and cure the cancer as well. So as you can see, there are small numbers here. So these are citation, as I mentioned earlier. This is to say that, for example, this sentence, cancer is one of the most brutal diseases that kill more than 8.8 million per year. This has some evidence or support by the reference to, which will be listed in the bibliography section later on. So after you have done with the introductory paragraphs where you give out important information as a background of the research for the readers, you then need to focus on the statement of the problem. Here in this particular example, the author is saying that the gambogic acid is very expensive, and this could be extracted from gamboj resins. So the significance of the work is it could be impactful results on the studies, and the purpose of the study is probably to get the cancer studies to be more efficient and reproducible by getting a large number of gambogic acid this way. So they have some hypothesis that if they get to use the procedures from these two work, they might get a better extraction yields in this process. Okay, now let's come back to this slide. As I mentioned that in order to increase the credibility, you need to do a literature review. So I'm going to show you how to do this. But before that, there are some sources that they are reliable for you to cite. For example, the peer-reviewed journal articles or academic books from reliable publishers. However, you should avoid citing unreliable sources. For example, websites like www.something or newspaper, or non-academic articles, or articles from low-quality journals. And the reason is that in peer-reviewed journal articles, there are some experts to review the work that before they publish. So it is quite reliable to cite from those articles. Okay, literature review consists of two parts, the citation part and the bibliography or reference part. There are two main systems to do this. The first system is citation by the order of appearance, where you start with number 1 here and 2, 3 as you move along the text. So the citation is done with numbers, mostly as a superscript. As you look at this example here, number 1 is next to the sentence, or it could be in brackets as well, and so on. The bibliography, which is normally at the end of the proposal, is listed by numbers, and it says that, okay, this number 1 is referring to this particular reference. This means that if that this sentence is supported by this article, and if the readers want to know more about this sentence, they can go on to this article and read a little bit more. You can have more than one article that supports a sentence as well. For example, here is 2 and 3. These two articles support this sentence. Another way to do citation is by names and years. For citation, it is usually done with first author's name and year in the bracket next to the sentence. And for bibliography, it is listed by alphabetical orders. So if here Clure is starting with K, so it's in between D and L. Another one, you can do the same very similarly. So for now, we need to know how to write bibliography in a good format. And probably the most widely used format is the ACS style, which is American Chemical Society. So in this style, we start with the names of the authors in this kind of format, starting with last name, comma, initials of first name and middle names. Each name will be separated by semicolons and followed by the names of the article. Next, it is the abbreviated journal name in italic. So there are standard ways to do this. You can probably search in Google. So type in your the journal name and then abbreviation. By doing that, sometimes it will give you the abbreviated journal name. Next is the publication year in bold and also volume of the publication in italic. And lastly, the page range. So you need some commas to separate these and full stops to separate these. So there might be a confusion between volume and issue numbers. If you look at this purple thing, there are volume numbers, which is typically refers to the number of years of the publication. And for this yellow thing is the issue numbers, which refers to how many times that periodical has been published during that year. Sometimes when the article is very new, for example, it's like only published for half a month, the volume year page number is sometimes not available yet. So you can replace these information using DOI, which is Digital Object Identifier Number. It is a unique alphanumeric strings to identify content and provide persistent link to its location on the internet. The publisher assigns a DOI when your article is published and made available electronically. And after that, it will need some time for the publisher to generate volume number, year, and page numbers. So for example, it comes in this kind of format. This is also good for searching your particular articles. So if you want to search an article with this DOI, you can try typing like this, followed by the DOI of your choice. So for example, if you want to search for this one, then you type here followed by the DOI, and it will go straight to that particular articles. So here is some practice on the ACS style reference format. So what you have here is an article that have some headings, some contents in between that I'm hiding, and sometimes you have some footnotes. So you need to find all the components, starting with the names of the authors. So you can replace these lists with a proper format of the author's name. After that, you need to put in the article names, followed by the journal name, followed by the year, and then volume, and finally the page number. Please look at the formats. These need to be separated by semicolons, and then full stop here, and then the commas and full stop. And this one needs to be italic, bold, italic. Looking at another example, so here is another article, the headings of another article. First of all, you need to look at the author's name, where you change it into a correct format. After that, put in the article's name, followed by the names of the journal, publication year, volume, and page number. Note that you need to have a good format for this. So that's all for the first part of how to write a scientific proposal. For students who take the project proposal course, please don't forget that you have some quiz about how to write a good reference, and please try to look for the instruction which I will inform you later on. And thank you very much. See you next time.